As always, this is the most precarious part of any stream. Let's see if we're live. We're live. Okay, and we have sound. Yay! Hello, everyone, and welcome to another stream of Asagao Academy. My name is Gina, aka the Gina Chew. My handy dandy bot in the chat will give you a list of all my social media to follow. You can follow me on Twitter at the Gina Chew, and you can also follow me on YouTube. But you definitely want to follow me on Twitter and here on Twitch so that you can see when I'm going to be streaming next. So during this stream, we're going to be finishing JonTron's best end romance route. Super exciting. So let's jump right into it. It's the day of JonTron's play. He still has not gotten this new bird to act like Jacques does. I really have no idea what's gonna happen. I don't know if Jacques' gonna like pop out of nowhere. I did spout a theory, I think, a couple days ago when I was streaming that what the pieces of like what John found maybe weren't Jacques. Because we did see at the beginning of the game Jacques like ran away and John found him like at the fountain. Just like standing there pretending to be part of the fountain. So who knows? Who knows? I don't know what is going to happen. But it is the day of the play, so let's see how that goes down. Let's read our journal. We've got 30 tournament points. The current event is play day. Here we go. Dear Diary, this is going to be a train wreck. I just know it. Yeah, pretty much. I put on a good face for John, but there's no way this is going to work out. If he wasn't so stubborn. But that's not fair of me to say either. I just hope things don't get that bad. Well, we shall see. Only time will tell. Alrighty. Finally, Romeo and Juliet's opening day arrived. I made it to the theater an hour earlier than the call time, partially because of nerves, and partially because I knew my costume was going to be an absolute bitch to put on. I guess we wound up playing a tree after all. Thank you. Thank you for making us a tree, John. Slowly, the other cast members began to show up. Warm-ups were performed, makeup was put on, stretches were stretched. Actors were an interesting bunch. Some of them were completely insufferable, the kind of people who tried to take attention from others because they definitely were making up for something else. Some were also shallow people who collected numbers and treated everybody like a best friend they hadn't seen in years, screaming out names and pulling them into bear hugs only to talk shit about them minutes later. I think we all know at least somebody like that in our lives. But some of them were the most unique, quirky, clever people you could ever meet. Some were humble, some were even averse to attention until they were actually on stage. One in particular I hadn't even heard speak outside of yes, no, and his lines. There were those who liked the poetry of the words, those who loved plowing the psychological depths of a given character, and those who treated scripts as a treasure hunt or puzzles, reading them over and over for the single line that would allow them to completely reinterpret the character's motivation. All in all, I liked the atmosphere, and this surprised me. I was a quiet person, a bookworm, and a nerd. I didn't really like having people's attention, and being surrounded by too many strangers made me nervous, especially when I couldn't trust them. But here, people were energetic, people were funny, people were bright. More accurately, people were all over the place. It seemed like almost anything could happen, and despite the potential for mockery, no one treated me like a weirdo. They just accepted my quirks as they were. I was in my theater guild in high school, and that is very, very true. Being kind of weird and quirky is never an issue for a group of theater actors. I understood why John wanted to make the play a success, and how keenly he felt everyone's passion and hard work. I almost wish I could keep doing it. Almost. Oh, look at John! Look at that swag he's got. That's great. But that only made it harder. Here I go again, flubbing all my lines. But that only made it all the harder when John finally showed up looking like the actual reincarnation of the Grim Reaper, new Jacques in tow. Hana, you look great! He thinks that we look cute as a tree. I stared at myself in the mirror. Yes, great. Exactly how I would have put it. Truly, tree is my most natural state.
John.
I didn't expect to see her in the actual costume. That's great. That's really adorable. Oh, that made me laugh. I'm sorry, I have to compose myself. Thanks, John, really. I'm honored to have the chance to play the part of Tree. Even though it was awkward to have swords flying in front of my face and people making out at my feet. Do you even have any lines? Can't you just have a tree prop? I asked this question before, I don't even know. How do you think things are going to go? Are you feeling okay? John cleared his throat, then smiled. Of course! Things are going to go perfectly, all according to plan. I just know it. We shall see. John did not know it. The play opened to a polite smattering of applause. The first bunch of students rolled out on stage, gathering in an actual chorus line before delivering the prologue of the play. Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona will relay our scene. I was never really too big on Shakespeare, but my best friend in high school took a whole course that we used to give at our high school on Shakespeare. And we used to talk a lot about it, and Shakespeare's works are pretty good. Sometimes a little tough to interpret, but they're pretty good reads. The scene switched, this time to a public area. I shuffled out in my tree garb, perching right in the middle of the stage. Muffled laughter came from the audience. My hair was still quite visible, despite my being a tree, before the actors started in on their lines. The laughter quickly faded as an all-out brawl settled onto the stage, John's knowledge of stage fighting coming out in full force. The audience gasped and cooed as the actress slugged it out. To the audience, it must have seemed like a particularly good acting. But I knew those actors sincerely hated each other. A few times I caught them actually trying to hurt each other. That happens in theater guilds too. I definitely had that in my theater guild too. So far, so good. It wasn't long before Romeo himself came out onto the scene, decrying his unrequited love for one unseen Rosaline. I narrowed my eyes. Romeo and Juliet was supposed to be a play about true love or something, but I didn't really see it. Yeah, no. If you've ever read the story, no. But the audience seemed to enjoy it. As long as things kept going like this, everything would be fine. But we weren't even able to teach Jacques Juliet's lines. I held my breath as the scene ended and I shuffled off stage. In no time, it was Juliet's first scene. God forbid! Where is this girl? What? Juliet! Jacques twitched out on stage, glancing between the two. Oh my god. This story is actually rather heart-wrenching and very sweet, this romance route. But I can't deal with the insistence on the bird being Juliet. I can't. And just stood there. Yeah. In silence. Oh no! Out of nowhere, a voice bellowed across the speakers. How now? Who calls? John? Was John going to read Juliet's lines? That's actually pretty damn brilliant. Your mother. Madam, I am here. What is your will? The audience seemed a bit perplexed, but either way they went along with it. A bird on stage was a novel sight after all, and they seemed intrigued to be getting something they weren't expecting. Yeah, who would expect... Still, John wouldn't be able to pull this off for long. Eventually, Romeo would need to speak to Juliet, and when that happened... My lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand, to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. John approached Jacques. Juliet was supposed to rebuff Romeo here, at least at first. My heart pounded in my chest as John grew closer and closer. Jacques twitched his head from side to side. Please, Jacques, please tell me you learned something. And then Juliet opened her mouth. Whoa, my love, I am dying. Lay the sword to my breast, poison to my lip. Yeah, I am dead. What? I'm telling you, Jacques wasn't dead after all. I'm telling you, I called it. Is that what is going on? I don't know. John paused, unsure of what to do with this development. Whispers echoed through the theater, and I couldn't tell whether they were more from the actors or the audience. Have not St. Lips and Holy Palmers too? Dead, dead, I am dead. I am hungry, feed me. Oh my god! I hid my face with my hands. I couldn't watch. The play went on like that, the actors valiantly trying to work around Jacques' utter insistence of his own demise. By the time early intermission rolled around, the audience was audibly upset. People shifted in their seats, sighing and grunting. Women whispered cutting remarks to their husbands. The outrage, though concealed, was palpable. At this point, there wasn't even a plot. It would have been avant-garde had John and the others known how to play off her mistakes, but none of the actors knew how to improvise in Shakespeare. Yeah, that's rough. We've definitely done improvising in other theater stuff, but Shakespeare's rough. They plowed through the scenes as if Juliet had said all the right things, and as a consequence, nothing made sense. I watched it all play out in front of me, trying as hard as I could not to cringe. Trees, after all, did not cringe. As the cast sat in a dejected huddle during the first intermission, John peeked behind the curtains, trying to gauge how the audience was taking it. People are even asking for their money back. Oh, at the rate this is going, people are going to leave before the play's even over. John, I'm so sorry. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? The show must go on. John gazed at me. The other cast members watched us, the room stuffy and silent. So it must. Hey! At least you didn't direct the room! That's true. At least he didn't direct the room. Oh my god. That was fantastic. It could have been worse. This is at least better than that. Is it? John fixed a smudge in his makeup in the mirror, probably caused by his nervous habit of rubbing his face and hair, then lined up before the curtain. The stage lights dimmed. Is it really? The play continued on. In a way, it was almost inspiring how the actors kept trying to give their best performance, how John bullheadedly continued with his vision in stark defiance of reality. The audience grew more and more restless as they saw the quality of the play wasn't improving. The more proactive of them trickled out of the theater. John grew irate. Backstage, a feeling of gloom and despair floated through the air. Oh man, it was a doomed production. I can't believe it. Everyone cared, everyone was passionate, everyone was giving it their all, but nothing they did would save the play. Actors quietly opened bottles of water, hardly speaking to each other. It was like seeing kids soberly lining the walls of a candy store. It was just plain wrong. I sat with them backstage, listening to the play when John came flying around a corner. Where's Jacques? Oh no. He was panting heavily, abject terror on his face. Jacques? Can you not find him? He's gone. He's nowhere to be found. Come on, Hana, step in. Let's do it. I think he flew away. John's knees buckled and he collapsed onto the floor. It's too late. I can't do anything else. The play is over. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. I put a hand on his forehead, which was burning hot. He was breathing quickly, eyes staring straight ahead, not even registering what was in front of him. He wasn't in the theater with me. He was lost in his mind. He was having a panic attack. I swallowed hard and pulled him into a sitting position. When I had panic attacks back home, my dad always helped me calm down. I pulled John's head to my chest, stroking his hair. Hey. You're alright. You're safe. You're backstage in the theater at Asagao. You're wearing your Romeo costume and I'm dressed as a tree. It's hot back here. The floor is rough underneath you. Very, very important things to ground someone in a panic attack. The people here at the play care about you and want you to be happy. Your friends love you and want you to be happy. I love you and want you to be happy. Good job, Hana! John's breathing started to slow and he clutched my arms. Also, I'm dressed as a tree. That is a thing. John let out a light chuckle, mopping sweat off his brow. He sat up, clearly still a bit shaken, but much better than before. He took my hand and smiled. Thank you, Hana. I nodded and pulled him into a hug. I miss old Jacques. Jacques would have been able to do the play. Jacques wouldn't have let me strain myself. Jacques would have cared about my well-being and he would have been able to calm me down and... John took a deep, shaky breath. Just as realization struck me so hard I felt like I'd been slapped in the face. John hadn't been able to grieve. Between the play, the tournament, and school, John never had time to actually feel and mourn his best friend's passing. Yeah, that's true. Instead, he and I instantly found a replacement that only cemented how much he lost in the first place. This was partially my fault. What should I do? Oh, Jesus Christ. Ah! Okay. Be sympathetic or be real with him. Now, I think that obviously trying to kind of protect his feelings has not really worked out so much. Obviously getting another bird was a mistake. So I'm thinking that the right thing to do would be to be real with him. So let's check the walkthrough to get the best ending and see if that is what we should choose. Yes, we should be real with him. I think it's time to give our beloved John a reality check.
Well...
John, listen. I swallowed. I hated being the bearer of bad news. Jacques is gone. There's no getting him back. This new bird was a mistake. There's no replacing Jacques, and I think you and I both know it. We were being too stubborn, trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. I think we both need to learn how to let things go. John didn't say anything for a long while. I stroked the back of his hair, heart pounding, hoping beyond hope I hadn't done any damage and made it worse. Snippets of the play floated through the cracks in the curtains. They were getting close to Juliet's next scene. Would we just have to stop the play? John pushed himself away from me. I'll be right back. John scurried into the back room and I bit my lip. Did I do the wrong thing? Some of the other actors watched as I crossed to and sat down in a corner of the room. When I looked at them, they looked away. As if this whole situation wasn't bad enough. Tell me he came back with the Juliet dress. Yes! Come on! Let's make Hana Juliet! Do it, John! Finally, John returned, sullenly carrying a pile of bunched fabric in his hands. It looked kind of familiar. He came up to me, then gently set it on my lap. I ran my hands across it, smoothing it out. It was thick and heavy, purple and beige. I straightened it, and the folds of a dress spilled to the floor. Juliet? Do you mind taking over?
What?
But John, I'm not an actress. I know you know the lines from trying to teach them to Jacques this whole past month. I heard you while you were practicing. You were trying to teach him the emotion, not just the words, and the thing is, you were good. Not great, of course, but good. Thank you. Thank you, John. You make a fantastic tree, but I think you'd make it even better, Juliet. And if I hadn't been so stubborn, I would have seen this sooner. John, I don't know. I'm really not the acting type. I have really bad stage fright. I'm just not sure. Hana, even if you don't think you can do it for yourself, couldn't you do it for me? My hand shook as I held the dress up, trying to imagine it on myself. There was no way this was going to go well. There was no way. But then, it wasn't as if the play could get any worse. That is true! I wanted to take some of the strain off of John. Even if this meant that the play completely bombed, at least we could face the devastation together. For once, John was truly relying on me. If it's for you, I think I can try. John immediately pulled me into a bear hug, crushing my arms against my ribs, then just as quickly pulled away. Go get changed, hurry! I'll stall for as long as I can. But, go! Go! John pushed me towards the dressing room, then rushed into the wings. I sprinted into the back room. The costumer stood back there, sheer glee on her face. I always hoped this costume would see the light of day. She stripped me down, practically demolishing my tree costume in her rush. I can fix it later. And pulled Juliet's dress over my head. Hana, you've completely transformed. She placed Juliet's hat on my head, and as she did, I peered into the mirror. Oh, she looks so cute! Oh, I love it! She looks so good! Yeah, Hana. The costumer smacked me on the back, jolting me back to my senses. I had to hurry. I ran into the wings, trying to peer on stage. John was wandering the front, bemoaning the loss of his fair Juliet. Certain members of the audience mumbling under their breath. Where was I supposed to enter from? I glanced around, utterly confused. Oh, whoa! If only my fair maiden would grace me with her fairest of presences. Shit, I needed to get out there. Nothing for it. Oh, that's cute. I emerged as gracefully as I could, head bowed under the harsh lights. Jon turned, shocked, but immediately covered his expression. My most fairest of maidens, hark. O fair, how haveth thee founded thyself upon this balcony of mine desire? I flushed. Now I was supposed to improv in Shakespearean? My heart of hearts, my love of loves, naught but mine horrid folk have trapped me here. That worked, right? Where exactly in the plot were we? Mine love, I rushed over here as soon as I had received thine hasty message. Thine sweet Romeo, thine stars of thine heavens, and you, the refreshed hope of mine heart. I shall rescue you, and we shall then flee and frolic as none ever have. Jon lifted his arms to me. I stared at him. He didn't mean for me to jump, right? Surely he was joking. But Jon made a face at me and flicked his fingers towards him. I swallowed. For thee, my love, for thee I overcome. With a deep breath, I climbed onto the edge of the balcony. Then, eyes closed, I jumped. Ah! I collapsed right on top of him and Jon fell to the floor. Oh my god! Hearing Jon grunt, I rolled off of him, ending up against a fake bush and knocking it down. I wheezed, desperately trying to catch my breath as Jon crawled over to me. Hana, are you okay? Ugh! Hana, the play. How oft when men are at the point of death have they been merry, which their keepers call a lightning before death. Oh, how may I call this a lightning? Oh, my love, my wife, death, thou hast sucked the honey of thy breath, hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Jon immediately launched into Romeo's Death of Juliet speech, and I closed my eyes, doing the best impersonation of a dead person that I could muster. It wasn't hard, given the circumstances. And lips, O you, the doors of breath seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Jon turned toward me, eyes lit with determination. Oh no, I forgot all about this part! He placed his arms on either side of me, his face coming closer and closer. My heart beat rapidly as I tried my hardest not to scrunch up my face. My first kiss! Jon cupped his hands around my chin, then placed his thumbs over my mouth. That's a stage kiss. He kissed the tips of his thumbs ever so tenderly, then pulled away, all the sorrow of a grieving man in his eyes. Thus, with a kiss, I died. Jon collapsed next to me, hand in mine. The actors playing our families rushed out on stage. Jon and I giggled quietly. That went well. Better than expected. You were right, Hana. A human Juliet was 1,000,000 times better. Least of all because I think I finally understood how Romeo felt about her. Oh, Jon, you cutie pie. Jon, I mean, you almost killed me. Jon. Just kidding. Jon grinned, nudging me in the ribs. Shh. In the end, the play was a success. Well, comparatively. People praised the action-packed twist at the end, seeing the entire play as a strange avant-garde performance. Juliet was a bird because she was treated as subhuman until she was finally able to exercise her free will, or something. Under this artsy pretense, we were given the benefit of the doubt and allowed to continue with the play. That's a great way to play it off, actually. That's really good. People complimented me on a job well done, though they didn't necessarily mean my performance. A few people did say my death was pretty convincing, though. As we hung up our costumes, Jon and I joked to ourselves about the new Jacques' mysterious disappearance. I think he flew to the Bahamas, or maybe he returned to that creepy shopkeeper. I'm just glad he's out of our lives now. He was nothing but trouble. Are you sure he's not hurt, though? You kidding me? That bird is even more stubborn than I am. He's got a survival instinct surpassing the fiercest lion of the savannah. He'll be fine. Honestly, it was better that he was gone. He would be happier that way. Jon said that I would play Juliet from now on, and that we could practice whenever we liked, though I wasn't too keen on that idea. Overall, as we headed to our dorms to practice like crazy before the tournament, I was happier than I'd been in a long, long time. Maybe there was something to this acting thing after all. Maybe. I awoke the next morning, feeling like an entirely new person. I grabbed my uniform, laying it flat against my chest and glancing into the mirror. Oh God. Oh, let's read our new thing, by the way. Oh, we've got 35 tournament points. Well, I didn't even know we could go that far, you guys. We just had like integer overflow on the tournament points for a second here. But we are at the tournament, which we know, well, I assume because when we played through PBG's story, is the final part of the story. So let's read the journal entry. Dear Diary, hopefully if we win the tournament, John will be okay. He'll be okay, right? We can still win, right? Diary, give me some hope. Okay. It is I, Hana, an actress. I giggled quietly to myself. I groaned from her bunk. Sorry. I changed into my uniform and dashed out the door. Today was the day of the tournament. Maybe I could turn one win into two? I think we can do that, Hana. Let's go for it. I stepped out into the fresh spring air, taking a deep breath. My event was one of the first ones to go, so I had to be there earlier than most. If you've seen the PBG playthrough, it's probably going to be pretty similar from this point on. Although hopefully, like we watched PBG play his game, we'll get to watch John play his game. That would be cool. Plus, it took a little time to get to Higanbana. I set my shoulders and started across the campus. I like how they don't, even though this part's pretty much the same, they don't let you skip it, which is nice. The arcade at which the tournament was being held was much smaller than I expected. I felt like I'd find some kind of convention, but instead it was a small local arcade filled with arcade machines. Smaller rooms split off, which was probably where the individual competitions would be taking place throughout the day. A few people milled about the space, generally older folk in their 20s and 30s. I glanced at the agenda in my hand and made my way to one of the back rooms. When I entered the competition room, I found two chairs on an elevated platform, a computer and a projector sitting between them and hooked up to separate controllers. And there's our rival! Hey, Ian! Ian sat in one of the chairs, looking bored out of his mind. Ian!
Hey.
It's about time you showed up. I was starting to get worried that you died. Your concern is touching, Ian. Thank you. Aw, it's so sweet of you to be concerned. Is it? Yeah. I got into the chair next to him. A man came over to me to check my name and club affiliation. I'm part of the Normal Boots Club. A small surge of pride made me sit up straight as I said it. There were chairs lined up for people to watch us compete, and to my surprise, the entire room soon filled. As chairs were filled, my nerves grabbed a hold of me. I swallowed hard, searching to the crowd to find John. Ah, there he is. There he was. My anxiety eased. I smiled and made a little wave, and he waved back. The lights around Ian and I dimmed, and the projector started up, showing the main menu of Dumbadoom's Revenge on screen. Alright, let's beat Ian again! It was time to start. As the MC began his introduction and explained the rules of the game, Ian turned to me, a smirk on his face. Sure you're ready for this?
Yeah.
You bet I am. Ready to go? The man turned to us. Ian and I nodded. Then, 3, 2, 1, start! The game began. I immediately clicked to fill my screen with 2 more lines of blocks. Ian began working with what he had. I scanned the blocks for the pink hearts, eliminating them one by one, making combos where I could. I still wasn't advanced enough to plan tons of combos ahead of time, but I can make it much more likely for combos to happen through probability. The pinks were all but gone. Green leaves were next. Dumbadoom started flipping at the top of the screen. Ian must be comboing, which meant I had a few seconds before those blocks would fall. I set up a combo on top of the screen and started eliminating the orange blocks below it. Then it happened. A 6 combo jumped out at me from the screen. My eyes crossed as I stared at it in shock. I just had to move the top block over one space. Then, as quickly as I saw it, it vanished. The blocks looked normal again. You're dead! As Ian's blocks fell upon my humble kingdom, I slid the combo into place. 2, 3, 4 combo, 5 combo, 6 combo, 7 combo, 8 combo! Ian's attack converted into blocks and hovered above mine. I set up several more combos and waited for them to fall. 10 combo, legendary! Dumbadoom started farting out rainbows over Ian's zone, and then... blocks. So many blocks. They didn't come in a chunk, they came in a torrential downpour all over Ian's side, sliding from left to right and back again. Ian blinked, his hands and eyes moving frantically over the screen. I wasn't sure he'd ever seen something like that before. I sure hadn't. I continued to combo while this was happening, but at this point there was no need. Ian's screen filled up. He kept trying to make combos until the very end, but... game over! That was it. I won. I stared, dumbfounded, at the screen in front of me. Ian's mouth hung open. The room was silent. Then...
Whoa!
Yeah, Hana!
Oh yeah!
I knew you could do it! I glanced up to see the room applauding. All of it. Even the hidden block club. The announcer was gaping at the screen. I've never seen a score that high. Certain I was as red as a tomato, I stood to climb off the platform. Not so fast. Ian stepped in front of me, grim as always. I braced myself for his infamous sarcasm. But to my surprise, he laughed. That was a hell of a game, Hana. That's exactly what I wanted from you. He held a hand in the air and I looked at it in confusion. Don't leave me hanging. Oh! I high-fived him and he clasped my hand in his. Thanks, Hana. That was fun. All Ian wanted was to enjoy himself. Then he disappeared into the pressing crowd. I forced my way through it myself, eager to find John. A bouquet of roses was thrust into my vision. I took it and looked up. I thought you deserved flowers after your wondrous debut. Since you didn't get any last night and all, a lead actress deserves to be given flowers. I gazed at the deep red roses, happiness flooding me. This time, they truly meant something. Thank you. Anyway, I've got to get going for my event. Wish me luck. I don't need to. I'm coming with you. Okay, then let's get going. I followed John to an event room at the front of the arcade. Alright, now we get to see John play. Who's he playing against? It was a small space. Only a handful of people were there to watch the incoming battle of the retro gamers.
Hey!
He's playing against Jimmy! Hey John, ready to fight? I had to double up on events this year and I don't have your history with retro games, but I'll put up as much of a fight as I can. We'll see how it goes.
What's up?
Are you okay, John? You don't look too good. For the first time that day, I truly looked at John and realized Jimmy was right. John was pale, and there were deep bags under his eyes. His hands were trembling ever so slightly. I've had a rough few weeks, but after this, everything will be much easier to deal with. Oh, I wasn't able to practice much. Well, maybe you still have a chance. Not that I'm gonna go easy on you. I wouldn't want you to. John, are you sure that you're alright? John heaved a heavy sigh. It's just that I'm one of the founders of Normal Boots, and here I was so caught up in my own business that I could hardly even practice. I barely deserve to call myself a member, let alone a founder. John, you can't be serious. You dealt with the death, losing the lead for your play, then a terrible performance of that play, and got yourself a new girlfriend. And you think you should have found a way to put even more pressure on yourself? New girlfriend? Oh yeah, that just kind of came out of your mouth, Hana. Are the participants ready? Good, that was smooth, Hana. Good job. Of course, right at that moment, the pig-faced MC popped into the room. We're running a bit behind, so let's hurry it up. John made a face at me, then took his place beside Jimmy and picked up a controller. Right. The person with the high score at the end of this level wins. On your marks, get set, play! Alright, come on, John, let's do it! John pressed start, and away the game went. Of course, it became apparent very quickly that John wasn't wrong in his assessment of himself. There was no way he was going to win. Oh geez, he needed to have practiced more. John played his very best right up until the end, but it wasn't even close. Oh no! I don't know if that's supposed to happen or if we screwed something up, you guys. Jimmy finished several thousand points ahead, and John set down the controller with a grimace. The crowd, disappointed after hoping for a good show, retreated back into the main entry hall. John stared at his hands. Hey, there's always next year. It was a pleasure. John nodded, extending his hand for a handshake. Congratulations. Jimmy took John's hand, the relief so plain in his face that it was almost painful. Hey, you still did really well despite the circumstances. Ha! I'm sure I did. At least you won your event. Maybe with that we still have a chance. And just like that, John was his regular cheery self, though still a bit tired. Wanna go look around? Are you sure you're alright? He shrugged. It's over. What am I gonna do, mourn? He grinned at me, and I chuckled half-heartedly. Too soon, John. Then let's go play.
Yeah!
Alright. That sucks. Poor John. Eventually, the MC took the stage, ready to announce the winner of the tournament. John's hand slid into my own as the MC opened the tiny envelope containing the results. And the winner of this year's tournament is... the Normal Boots Club! Yay, we won! Yes! John and I screamed and punched in the air, and given that our hands were intertwined, it looked like we combined forces to take out some kind of monster, anime style. The Normal Boots Club and I swarmed the stage, piling around both Trophy and the MC. John grabbed the microphone from the MC, who looked as though he'd been mugged. This year's victory goes right to the rest of my club members. I really dropped the ball, and if it weren't for them, there's no way we would have won. John motioned to the group of us on stage, pausing to allow for the audience's applause. Finally, I have 2 announcements. First of all, join us in welcoming Hana, the newest member of the Normal Boots Club. And my girlfriend. Well, I'm glad we got that settled. A swarm of gasps flew from the men around me. John motioned me to the front of the stage where I stood next to him, blushing furiously. We couldn't have won without her. Ain't she cute? That's completely John's style. John! I shoved him and the crowd laughed. Then something soft encircled me. PBG had wrapped a Normal Boots jacket around my shoulders. Thank you. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have won, and Asagao Academy wouldn't have a drama club. She's the real hero of this day. The audience applauded politely once again. John smiled gently at me, and then turned to face the crowd with a rather serious expression. Finally, I have one more announcement. He waited a few moments for the crowd to settle. As they saw the look on his face, the mood sobered. I would also like to dedicate this victory to our fallen comrade in arms, Jacques. No! You're gonna tear my heart out! This is not happening! Sadly, he is no longer with us. I haven't been able to find a way to repair him, and until that day comes, our robot bird friend will be missed. I wrapped an arm around John's shoulder as he lowered the microphone from his face. There was a moment of silence, and then John passed the microphone back to the MC. After John's announcement, there wasn't much more to the tournament. The crowd left soberly, and the excitement of our victory vanished. At least, it did until Satch met us just outside the arcade. What? Jacques has been broken this whole time? Why didn't you tell me? Let me have a look at him. I'll see what I can do. That's right! Satch was building a machine! Why didn't we even think of giving it to Satch? Oh my god! I feel so stupid. Why didn't I even think of that? Satch took Jacques under his wing and enlisted the help of the only other person in the academy who would understand robots. Oh! Of course! Kakusu! Of course! I don't understand. Why her of all people? Is she part of the electronics club or something? Don't worry about it. John paced the floor like an expectant father, glancing up every so often at how the operations were proceeding. John, don't worry. Jacques can't get any worse than he already is. I know that, Hana. I know. John stopped pacing, instead coming to rest his head on my shoulder. I know he can't get any worse. But what if he gets better? Part of me wants him to come back, and part of me... John... What if he doesn't have his memories anymore? Or what if he's got a completely different personality? What if he isn't like me? How in the world am I going to deal with that? John, I really don't think you need to worry about that. A small thump came from inside the room and John jumped. Everything okay? Nothing to report. You've got it handled. John resumed pacing the floor. No matter what I did, nothing would calm him down. He was beyond help. Finally, the operations were done, and Satch and Kakusu approached us nervously. Well, how did it go? The operation was a complete success! Yay! Jacques is back, you guys! Jacques back from war, you guys! John? I've missed you, John. Oh, my heart! Jacques! The rest of us left after that. John was tearing up, and we thought it best to give him some privacy. Oh, in fact, I didn't see him for several days. But eventually... Oh, that's adorable. He can even fly now. Can you believe that? Satch and Kakusu did some kind of optimization on him so his wires don't run through his wings anymore. He's happy as a clam. Jacques swooped down between us for a split second, just long enough to add, I resent that. I really think he could be a star someday, Hana. I'm sure he can, John. I'm sure he can. We'll see what I say about that. John and I were officially dating. Jacques, our ever-present third wheel. Well, that was how I would have liked it to be. To be honest, it was more like I was the third wheel. John and Jacques' bond, stronger than steel and wire, surpassed even the love John and I had for each other. But I didn't mind. All I cared about was seeing John happy, and if Jacques was a part of that, well, maybe I could learn to love Jacques too. I have a bright future ahead of me. I believe this.
Yeah!
You do! You do! Together we'll be the best actor-manager pair the world has ever seen! You will see your name in lights if it's the last thing I ever do! Believe it! And of course, Hana will be by our side the whole way through. Right, Hana?
Yeah.
Of course!
Huh.
Man, this is great! I've got 2 talented actors with me, not to mention a girlfriend I absolutely know I can count on. We've got a bright future ahead of us, I just know it! Not if I can help it. Whoa! Jacques! These two. It looked like I would be stuck with them for a long time to come. And to be honest, that sounded wonderful to me. And there's our best end for JonTron! Woohoo! Alright, so we did it. We have successfully romanced JonTron. Okay, so let's chat a little bit while I let the credits roll. So first of all, I'll say this again probably at the end of every roll, but thank you to Kara and Danielle and the whole Illusi team and everybody who worked on the game. I love this game so much. It's so much fun to play. I really liked JonTron's, I liked his story, I liked his romance route. I definitely preferred PBG's, but JonTron's was filled with a lot of really funny, cool moments, and I think they did a really awesome job. So my question now that I need to ask is where we're gonna go from here. As far as who we're gonna romance next. Because that is gonna be my next. It's gonna be my next challenge here. I'm not sure who I'm bouncing back and forth between Satch and Jared. Satch was the first character that I kind of like jumped on and was like, oh, he's really interesting, mostly because he gave Hana a book, and I'm a big fan of books, and I was like, that's the way to my heart personally, is to just, you know, throw books at me. I'm a huge bibliophile, but I kind of also wanted to get Jared's kind of out of the way. Not that I'm not excited for it, I'm actually very excited for it, but I absolutely love the idea of Jared and Mai, and I'm going to feel so guilty romancing Jared, because we know how crazy Mai is about him, and I'm not sure how that's gonna go, and I feel like it's gonna be so difficult. Oh, Jacques, over here, please look at me. No, over here. Sign my autograph, I love you. You've created a monster. I wonder if there was a scene after the credits for PBG. I might have missed out on that. Now I feel dumb. No, I've created a star. I have to admit, I had my doubts about this whole Jacques as a superstar deal, but I guess you know exactly what you were doing.
I know, right?
Hell yeah, I did. Jacques was now an internationally recognized celebrity with fans from several countries in all walks of life. They came from far and wide to see this amazing acting bird. At first he was just a novelty, but it seemed like the first time someone saw him perform live, they fell in love. His fandom grew exponentially until we had to take him on tour, and then he started getting television and movie offers. Jacques just had a way about him that made people want to love him. It was an odd turn of events, but I was enjoying the ride. For the most part. And now that Jacques is a star, I'm ready to set my eyes on my next. You're next? John winked at me. I didn't like that look. But that was a discussion for another day. John watched his bird stars in his eyes. My beloved Jacques. I mean, would it kill him to pay more attention to his actual girlfriend? I sighed and wrapped an arm through John's. Some things would never change. Truth.
Asagao Academy Normal Boots Club.
I wonder if there was a scene after PBGs that I missed, in which case I would feel really dumb. I would feel really dumb. Do I have a save right before? Yes, I do, actually. Oh, this is the scene afterwards. Okay, so why don't we do this? Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we? I mean, I know this is the end of John's, but let's do the scene after PBG's, because I didn't see this and I didn't realize there was gonna be one, and I feel kind of stupid for not thinking to wait after the credits. But anyway, back to what I was saying before that random scene popped up. I think I'm probably going to do Jared next, just because I'm going to feel so... I really am going to feel guilty. And I'm interested to see how they're going to play it off, because I assume that Hana and Mai's friendship will last through it. And I know that in the beginning, Mai didn't seem upset by the fact that she thought that Jared might have a thing for Hana. So I don't know. But I think Jared's going to be the next one we go for. And then after that, Satch. And then maybe, I don't know, Gerard and then Paul and then Shane. Maybe that'll be if we do. But anyway. PBG and I crept silently to the door of my dorm room, pressing our ears against it. Whatever Mai and Jared were up to, we wanted to catch them in the act. Oh no! Oh God! They were giggling like maniacs, absolutely giddy out of their minds. I traded looks with PBG, who nodded at me and winked. I pulled out my key and slowly, ever so slowly, fitted into the lock. Thankfully, Mai let out a huge laugh just as I did so, and the sound of the keys in the lock seemed to go unnoticed. PBG leaned towards me, whispering in my ear, "I hope we don't find them in a compromising situation." He leaned back, eyes gleaming. I elbowed him in the side, my face aflame. Ready? 3, 2, 1! I flung open the door and PBG and I ran into the room. Oh my God! Well, if I wasn't going to romance Jared next before... Mai and Jared looked up at us in shock. We stared back. Small dice lay on the floor in front of them, along with several sheets of paper and tiny action figures that, as I looked closer, resembled them. They're playing D&D! What? I'm ruined! Mai slung an arm around Jared's shoulders, laughing merrily. No, you're not, you old coot. Hana's not going to do anything. Actually, do you guys want to join our campaign? I'm in a bit of a scrape and I could really use a cleric to help. And that was how Mai and Jared, somehow, started dating. That was great! Oh man, okay, so actually I'm kind of glad that I caught this in this video, because now I'm gonna do Jared next, and I feel kind of bad for romancing Jared because I really think him and Mai are super cute together. But yeah, that's JonTron's route. Next is going to be Jared's. So stay tuned for that. I should be starting that tomorrow. You can look in the chat to see all my social media stuff. Follow me here on Twitch and on Twitter at @TheGTheChew to catch my next stream. Thank you guys so much for watching Asagao Academy. I will see you next time where we're going to start romancing us some Jared. And I will see you then. Thanks for watching.